And in other news, China has called on the United States to meet each other halfway and maintain stable and healthy military relations, marking its first official response to U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's address at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. Now, speaking at the forum, the head of the Chinese delegation said that this year's speech reflected the outcomes of the Trump-Xi meeting and further shows stable U.S.-China relation is good for the regional stability and global peace. Listen to this.
We also hope that China and the United States will meet each other halfway, implement the consensus of the heads of state, and promote the healthy, stable, and sustainable development of their military relations. That's my brief response to Hegseth's speech.
On Sunday, during his inaugural address, Hegseth had warned of Beijing's growing military ambitions in the Indo-Pacific, saying China's military buildup and expanding activities in the region have raised concerns among the U.S. and its allies. However, Hegseth emphasized that Washington does not want a confrontation with Beijing. Instead, it is seeking stable and respectful relations with China. Hegseth added that the U.S. would maintain channels of communications to reduce the risk of miscalculation.
Under President Trump's leadership, relations between the United States and China are better than they've been in many years. President Trump and this administration seek a stable peace, fair trade, and respectful relations with China.
Well, Hegseth's comments were in sharp contrast to his take on the forum last year, when he had warned of rapidly developing threats from China and particularly its aggressive stance towards Taiwan. However, this year the meeting comes only about 2 weeks after Trump's visit to Beijing, with the focus more on injecting stability into China-US ties. Interestingly, during his inaugural address, Hegseth did not mention Taiwan even once. However, later in a panel conversation, he assured that there was no change in Washington's stance on Taiwan, but the decision on future arms sale will rest with the U.S. President Donald Trump.
Any decision about future Taiwan arms sales, as the president said, will rest with him and is the nature of that relationship. And certainly having been there for those meetings in Beijing, there's no change in our status there.
The comments are being seen as a sharp departure from U.S. policy on Taiwan. Arms sales to the democratic self-governing island has long been a core pillar of Taiwan-U.S. relations. However, during the Trump-Xi summit, Chinese President Xi Jinping had told Trump that the Taiwan issue is the most important one in China-U.S. relations. Days later, the U.S. had announced a pause on arms sales to Taiwan, citing the Iran war. Experts say that Hegseth's softer tone on China reflects the broader shift in U.S. policy on maintaining stable relations with China.